don't know how we start this.
Christmas, isn't it, Sam? Do you want to sing a song? Just sing the song, Sam. Go on.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Stop there, Sam. Welcome to your Saturday morning wrestling news headlines. That was awful.
Oh, God, I'm a great singer. I don't know what you're on about.
Shut up, Sam. The USA Network are furious over WWE Raw ratings and they want more mature content. Cerebral Assassins assembled! Triple H has assembled a new team for a new NXT show. And an Impact Wrestling star is leaving the promotion at the end of the year. Find out who and why in a little while. Crocodile. So just in case you have been living under a rock this week, we found out coming out of Monday Night's Raw that it was the worst Raw ever in a number of ways, Sam. What was your reaction to Monday Night Raw?
I haven't seen the show in full, but I've seen the fallout and everything that we're about to discuss, and I mean, something's got to give. Something has got to give. That's essentially
a song from the 70s, isn't it? Something's
Probably.
got to give. I don't know. Raw did its lowest ever rating earlier this week. It set an all-time record low with both 1.53 million average viewers and a 0.41 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. There's nothing I love better on a Saturday morning than hearing about the 18 to 49 demographic, Sam. But not only that, Sam. For the first time ever, not only did AEW Dynamite beat an hour of Raw, but it did them in all 3 hours in the 18 to 49 demographic, and something else which is important for the adverts or something.
That's something I hadn't heard. That's insane. That's
insane.
Absolutely insane. I mean, it's insane in a good way, because obviously now there's a bit of a fire under WWE's bottom, and hopefully it is going to lead to a bit of a change in content here, because, I mean, come on. Like, you can't be the number one sports entertainment brand on earth and just get lazy. You have to keep going, whether you have competition or not. And I think we've all felt for a long time. I mean, it might just be us being, miserable old men now, but it's like, well, it's just not what it was like when I was a kid. And the move into more PG content, while, it's better for the wider, younger audience, kids don't have a lot of money to buy things. And advertising revenue is very important, and you need to target audiences that are going to be watching that are slightly older, have more disposable income, and are able to part with said money. That's going to bolster, how much money the show's making. It's hopefully going to lead to more exciting content in order to get people in, but it just seems like a while since we've had such a shift in tone.
And speaking of that shift in tone, Sam, the news comes from our friend Alex McCarthy of TalkSport, who is reporting that the USA Network is very unhappy about Raw's ratings. And additionally, a source added on to this report, we've got old quotation marks here, Sam, I've got a direct quote. USA Network are furious. They want more adult content. More adult content. Not sexy adult, but dark and violent adult. And just to remind everybody, on this week's Raw, we saw Randy Orton lock a human being in a box, set that box on fire, and try to kill him. So how much darker we need to go?
That's not extreme enough. That is not extreme enough. We need to go deeper.
Just going to see the Pain Olympics from when I was in high school, just seeing, I don't know, who's on Monday Night Raw these days? Name it. Cedric Alexander sat there with a guillotine on his testicles or something like that. The Pain Olympics on Monday Night Raw, because we want more mature content. But Raw was very much a tale of two, there was the first third and then the second 2/3, in my opinion. Yeah. The first third, we saw 2 long matches, a couple of fine promos. I was thinking, wow, we're setting in for a lovely night at the office here watching Monday Night Raw. But in the second 2/3, this is when I think the mature content thing creeps in, because we had so much bat poo crazy things happening. We had Riddle asking a Rambling Rabbit, who is, by the way, Sam, a puppet, as I'm sure you will know, asking this puppet for an autograph. He stuck a carrot in this puppet's direction and said, hey, carrot, sign this for my rabbit called not Rampant. What's it? Skipper. His rabbit called Skipper at home. That was a big mistake to make.
Big Freudian slip.
And then we had, of course, the stuff with Randy and Bray, where they wanted to play hide and seek, because, of course, it worked with Bray's character, to be fair. Randy Orton goaded him into a childish thing because he's a children's TV presenter. But then he got locked in the box got set on fire, then automatically somehow he turned into the Fiend. I'm guessing we're going to go less of the supernatural and out there stuff and more like realism and whoa.
I think you can still keep some of the supernatural element to it, but you just got to make it as dark as possible. So I guess, like it already works with Bray. Bray's character leans into that quite well anyway, because it's, it's kids' TV show presenter, but it's very dark, it's very sinister, and I guess Bray'd be the easiest one to dial it up with. So, Fire, very good way to dial it up. So I figure if they just keep pushing Bray to more and more extremes, then he's going to be able to flourish in them because it'll be directions WWE have never been in before, and it'll be quite fresh.
And the report went on to mention, by the way, Sam, that WWE feels the Royal Rumble is a lovely natural reset point. So maybe coming out of the Royal Rumble, maybe a winner or two that we don't see coming, a change in direction may start to happen there.
So you're talking WCW Reboot. It's going to be the full works, new stage. They're going to come out, strip everybody of the belts, and then it's all going to go wrong.
Yes, we're going to get rid of Monday Night Raw and introduce Big Bang every Monday night.
It's just going to open like that and people will walk out. They'll sometimes get stuck and do this a bit.
But it's interesting to note as well, I think it's been around 2 years since the McMahons stood in the middle of the ring on Monday Night Raw. And because Raw hit a new low back then, of course, and they blamed Baron Corbin for how bad Raw had been, and
That's
they were going to make the fans the authority, and everything was going to get better from here. We're going to give you what you want, and then 2 years later, quite frankly, that hasn't happened, and we need to do something drastic. Once again, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I think that you've got, like, SmackDown is presented in a very sporting way. SmackDown's very rarely out there now that we don't have The Fiend. We've got, the blood feud and everything, and the family storyline with Roman, which is quite soap opera-y, but it's quite believable as well. But for the majority, SmackDown, with it being on Fox and FS1's tied into it all and everything, they're more sporty. Why can't Raw have a completely different tone? Because then it makes the draft so much more exciting, because it's like, well, who's going to get the crazy storylines this year? Who's going to get to do the dark stuff, whereas SmackDown's more direct, classic wrestling? And I think if you were to have those two different things, you're offering two completely unique products then. And variety is the spice of life, as we've said many times recently.
Yes, it is. But moving on now, we have a report from Wrestling Inc. that is telling us that Triple H has created a brand new team to oversee a new NXT, which is a new show for NXT, by the way, which is apparently going to be an NXT for NXT. So that screams to me, Sam, Evolve from back in the day, which of course they got rid of.
Gabe Sapolsky is also involved in it, from what I'd read.
Leading the team. Eyeball Paul, as I like to call Triple H for some unknown reasons, giving Gabe Sapolsky several agents and writers to help him get more comfortable with writing for TV. So your initial reaction there, Sam, to an NXT for NXT?
I think, it is necessary. There is a wide body of the NXT roster that aren't on TV, that most people don't know about, that are the performance center recruits. They sort of train up, and then they go out onto the NXT loops, and they go and they work house shows, and, those shows will have one or two members of the NXT TV roster popping in every now and then, but for the vast majority of the talent, it's sort of where they, it's where they cut their chops. It's where they start off properly, and I figure you may as well be recording it. These guys have all come in from indie companies, or they've at least been ran through the performance center to get them up to a level where they can work a match. It's not all going to be great, but I figure something along the lines of AEW Dark, where it's more featured time, maybe something that you don't need a subscription for as well, and it gets you excited about what's coming to NXT. Throw an occasional NXT match on there, like with some of the bigger TV names, and you're onto a winner.
I hope this is not on top of 205 Live. I hope this takes the place of 205 Live, because we don't need more wrestling for more wrestling's sake. I fully appreciate how an NXT for NXT is now needed, because now NXT is not developmental. It's its own third brand. It's got its own TV deal. They need something before that.
Do you think they'll keep it under the WWE banner, or do you think they'll, while they own it, they might just give it a completely different name, sort of like FCW, and distance themselves and make it like an extra promotion to make it seem like there's more out there, but it's linked to WWE? Like, aren't we being friendly working with these people even though they own it?
Yeah, if I was in charge, I would scrap 205 Live, because from what I don't watch 205 Live every week, I do concede that, but from what I see, it's just happening. It's just a thing that happens.
They just need to absorb the rosters.
Tom was saying on a tier video, which is going live in the not too distant future, dear viewer, that the disconnect between 205 and NXT, it's something that shouldn't be there. We should be knowing what happens on 205 Live. We should bleed over to what happens on NXT. So hopefully that's what we see there. Apparently the original idea, Sam, was to house it as another promotion running in some of the smaller markets that NXT used to service. But now, with obviously house shows not being a thing in the midst of this global pandemic, they're just going to make a TV series. It was meant to launch...
Of course they're cutting the house shows, aren't they? So it makes perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense.
There we go, just booked it there, WWE. And the goal was apparently to launch it in early 2021, but it has been delayed, and it probably will be delayed a little bit more. So when it comes to fruition, bugger knows, but it is going to happen, it would appear. And then finally, last week we had the news coming to us from eWrestling News, who reported that Madison Rayne would be leaving Impact Wrestling at the end of the year, and now we know why, Sam. Do you want to know why?
Why is that, Ross?
She will be leaving the company in order to take a full-time job that isn't a part of the wrestling industry. She's just going on to bigger and better things, and more power to her.
It's quite... I don't want to say it's quite rare, because I imagine it happens quite a lot, but it's... I can't remember the last time that somebody just left the industry and that was it. Just sort of moved on and, closed the book on it. It's quite nice, actually, like to hear that somebody's gone, you know what? Had my fun, that's it, let's go and try something new, and rather than just getting bogged down somewhere you might not want to be.
3 stints in TNA/Impact Wrestling for Madison Rayne between the years of 2009 and 2013, and a second stint from 13 to 17, and then she returned some point during the last year where she had a feud with Jordan Grace, where she challenged for the Knockouts Championship, and then lately she's been doing that there commentary with Josh Matthews, her husband of course, on the weekly Impact Wrestling shows. So of course, what's in store? We have no idea. That sliver of news about her leaving the wrestling business altogether, that comes from PW Insider, adding on to the initial report from eWrestling News. So there we have it. All the best to Madison Rayne for the future. Go on, good luck. Geordie Jumpers, way high, and that's it for the Saturday morning news. Sam will be back later today with, and I said NXT graded there. That's very 2018.
That was a while ago,
SmackDown graded with Sam. I'll be back with the WTF moments. A SmackDown tier list is going live this weekend, is it?
I do believe so. Yes. I edited a lot of them in one day. It was quite the day. But yes, they're all done.
I'm ready for this Christmas break, I tell you what. But thank you for supporting everything we've done this fine year here at Cult. I think, is this the last news video?
This will be the last news video. I think Adam may be doing some over the break because Adam isn't going home. So we might see some from him. But yeah, this is the last one with us anyway. It's so emotional.
It's time to say goodbye. We'll see you next year when, of course, the pandemic and all of the strife we've been through in 2020 will come to an end. As soon as we hit midnight on January the 1st, everything's fine.
That's round
how it
3.
works.
Season 3 of Brexit's big premiere episode, January 1st. Let's see what happens.
We'll see you next time. I've been Ross, and he's been Sam.